You are listening to the global network of podcasters dedicated to the pharmacy profession. Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Welcome to a special series from the Pharmacy Podcast Network with exclusive coverage of the Cencora 2025 ThoughtSpot Conference. This three-part series, sponsored by Outcomes, takes you inside one of the most important gatherings in community pharmacy. ThoughtSpot brings together independent pharmacy owners, operators, and healthcare leaders to share innovations, tackle challenges, and shape the future of care. Across these episodes, we'll deliver key insights, industry voices, and the tools and strategies helping pharmacies thrive. ThoughtSpot acts as a catalyst for the future of community care, sparking together the minds of those in the driver's seat of change. We're bringing you to the showroom floor, right here on the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Jon Carlson. Do you like the DJ voice?
That is nice.
Jon Carlson here at ThoughtSpot 2025. No, just kidding around. Sunday. It's not even Sunday. It's Saturday when we're recording this. How are you, Jon? It's nice to see you.
I'm great. Todd, thanks for having me.
You are very welcome. So we're here at ThoughtSpot 2025 in the Outcomes booth. You're part of the Outcomes team. Tell our listeners a little bit about your background and why do you like pharmacy? What is it about pharmacy that you're in this industry?
No, it's been a passion of mine. I've been in healthcare IT for 20 years.
Okay.
And I came over to pharmacy because of the impact that independent pharmacies have for a population. And they are often underserved, undersupported, and it's part of one of the reasons I came to Outcomes is the ability to provide support, tools, resources to help them thrive, which supports the community in which they live. So it's just it's a passion play for me, and I get the joy of helping them understand new technology that comes out, new resources that they can use to help them grow and optimize their business.
So one of those resources is a component of the Outcomes family, which is called Pill Count. And it's a whole system. And we're kind of featuring that today because are you a program manager? Are you like overseeing the division? But there's something very special about this program and want you to share that with our listeners.
No, so Pill Count is a newer technology in the Outcomes family. I get to help pharmacies integrate new technology into their workflow to reduce labor costs, to increase safety and security. So Pill Count is a standalone agnostic platform to use digital technology to count medications,
okay.
Right? So when we look at how do you make sure that pharmacies are operating at peak efficiency, we give them this tool of Pill Count, which is built on an iPad Pro technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's cloud-based, so it's super intuitive, super easy to use, and it allows technicians in a pharmacy to quickly and accurately count medications. Great for patient safety. It's great for workflow inside the pharmacy. And because we can integrate with lots of different pharmacy systems, we provide a level of optimization in these pharmacies that just makes them hum.
So I think of been in thousands of independent community pharmacies over the years. So have you, and even long-term care pharmacies. And when I think of our square footage, some pharmacies, 1,200 square feet, some gargantuan pharmacies, 6,000 square feet, which is great. But talk to me about the footprint of the Pill Count system and how that fits into workflow.
No, and that's one of the great attributes of this solution. So one, from a cost standpoint, it's about a third of the cost of most traditional pill counting technologies out there.
Okay.
So we wanted to build something that was cost effective, but then you hit on the footprint. So it's about half the size of a traditional pill count setup.
Okay.
And for some of my smaller stores, they love the ability to deploy it somewhere on a tight bench that they don't have the ability for other technology. So small footprint, but powerful attributes to allow them to be more efficient in the store.
All right. So how does that play into workflow? What are you teaching? How are you teaching the tech? How are you teaching the pharmacist to put the pill count into what stage of dispensing?
No, it's a great question. So after the data entry, a prescription label is generated. That kicks off the ability to engage pill count.
Okay.
Scanning a label, then verifying a stock bottle, so the NDC, so we've got that safety component built in. And then we allow the technician or the pharmacist to just simply pour the pills on the tray, and in nanoseconds, it counts those pills. Even translucent pills. So that's kind of unique to the industry. Pill count will allow you to count Tessalon pearls or Advil or vitamin D. And a lot of other solutions struggle with translucent pills. Pill count does a really, really nice job at that. It's like 99.95% accuracy on the pill counting process.
Talk to me about the technology, because it sounds like there's high definition cameras involved in looking and counting and being able to quickly get information, get data back to the system, back to the pharmacy management system.
Yeah, so it's built on the backbone of the Apple ecosystem. So we utilize an iPad Pro, and with a special kiosk that we have built with a downward-facing camera. So not only are you getting the stability and the intuitiveness of an Apple product, but now you're getting that interface back to the pharmacy management system with information. Computer RX, RX30R platforms, this information transfers over to final verification.
Okay.
So again, now we're talking about how do you ensure safety, but how do you quickly, work that into your workflow so that the pharmacies are spending less time counting and more time working with patients on clinical services, on MTMs and things that can deliver better health, but also generate more revenue for the pharmacies.
Absolutely. There are listeners listening right now, Jon, who are like, okay, I'm looking for a pill counting system. I'd like to reach out and learn more, maybe even talk to you. What's a good way to reach out to you and get a hold of someone at your division so that we can talk more about pill count?
No, the easiest way to get in touch with our group is outcomes.com. And we've got a number of product pages on the website. Simply fill out the information.
Okay.
I've got a team of folks that will reach out typically within 24 hours and just understand the needs of the pharmacy, what they're looking to do. It can't be for everybody, but for the folks that have a need and understand they want to optimize their workflow, let's have a quick talk about it. We'll show you the solution. We'll see if it makes sense for the pharmacy, and it's a really easy process to go through.
Jon, thank you so much for spending time with me at this podcast series, reviewing different things that Outcomes are bringing to the table. Thanks for being part of ThoughtSpot 2025.
No, pleasure to be here, Todd. Thanks for a chance to sit down and talk.
We're back with another interview with pharmacist Heidi Polek, Vice President of Product Management at Outcomes.
Hey, ThoughtSpot 2025 here at the Outcomes booth. 1, 3, 2. Heidi Polek, guys and gals. I tell you what, I met Heidi in October of 2020, so I've known you for some time.
Yep.
And your heart has always been centered in pharmacy care. And there's a special story just about your career and evolution, and now part of the Outcomes team. Talk to our listeners about who is Heidi Polek.
Heidi Polek is a third generation pharmacist. So I know in my heart that I'm making my grandfather, my aunt and uncle very proud with all the things that I've done. So I started out in patient care in the Western New York area, spent many, many years behind the bench caring for patients in that area. I moved into a corporate role, and that was great because I just felt my world of pharmacy expanded beyond a single location. I could impact more stores across multiple states. And I just kept, really digging in and learning from the people that I worked with so that I could get skills outside of that core pharmacy skill so that I could transition into roles I never dreamed of. I did go into the management role, like I said, but that was in pharmacy. I moved into a pharma company for a couple of years and then made the crazy leap into technology. Thankfully, I've grown up around computers. In my life, I've seen computers, not exist and then become the machines they are.
Gen X.
Yeah. And so I've just, I love learning. And so I was like, I had a company take a risk on me. Like, I didn't have much of a tech background, but they were like, we just love your attitude and who you are. And we're just going to hire you and give you this role. And they just threw me into all these technology things and I embraced it. And again, I just kept digging in and, questioning all the other people at my company and kind of just knocking on doors and saying, that sounds like a cool meeting. Can I join?
Yep.
And that's where I learned about product management. And it was just this fire lit up in me. And I was like, I can now help build things that will make a pharmacist's life easier. And I'm so excited to be here at Outcomes. I've been here since May of 2023, working across a lot of our products. I started in our pharmacy management system world, and late last year moved over into the specialty pharmacy world. So I manage a specialty pharmacy software platform.
Cool.
And one of the coolest things that I got asked to lead was a new product in the clinical trial space.
Yeah, just for the listener's sake, and you pharmacy students out there, the role of the pharmacist has never been more diverse of what pharmacists are doing. And you had to have that grassroots in the trenches experience in order to bring to corporate, in order to bring to a technology platform, to merge to what really makes sense for the pharmacist that's stressed out behind the counter and wants to do more, but they don't feel like they can do more. And what you've done is you've actually helped the tech platforms give our pharmacists the ability to do more with less because of reimbursements, because of the struggles of how we're paying for things. But then you're combining that with treatment management, which actually extends the ability to build new revenues through things that have nothing to do with dispensing, but treatment management. And now you're talking about the role of the pharmacist in what? In clinical trials, which it's our pharma companies desperately need the direction and the leadership of pharmacists in clinical trials. But Heidi, you have a special story and announcement that has come right from the heart of how Outcomes is leveraging tech insights and infrastructure support for our community pharmacies and how it dials into clinical trials. This is a good story. I want you to tell us.
It is a great story. And, our life as a pharmacist is in taking care of patients and making sure they get treatment that actually works. And we cannot have new medications come to the market without clinical trials. And I learned that 80% of clinical trials cannot find enough patients to do the appropriate level of testing they need to do. We are extending the research time by at least a year. Millions of dollars are being spent to just continue to try to find people. And at Outcomes, we have that ability. So we have a patient's medication profile, so we can make some very informed inference as to what disease state they have. And so we're doing that initially. But then where the pharmacist comes into play is we have built a new clinical opportunity workflow on our Outcomes platform that will inform a pharmacy when they have a patient that looks eligible to proceed further for further questioning to see if they qualify for a clinical trial. It's a really quick workflow. You're going to confirm the patient's disease state and obviously their interest and consent to learn more. You're going to ask maybe 3 to 5 very simple screening questions. And if that patient responds appropriately, we're going to pass them along to the clinical trial organization for further screening. It's that simple. And you're going to get paid for that.
Well, that's the fun part at the end. Beyond the mission, beyond pharmacists being involved, we are here. Outcomes has always been about what are we taking from the pharmacy management's perspective? What can we add on to it from clinical support? And by goodness gracious, how do we use all this evidence-based outcomes stuff, not to make a double whammy on the word outcomes, but literally what's the outcomes going to be and how does that mean new revenue to support our pharmacies?
Right. The dispensing revenue is constantly under attack and pharmacies must. It is an absolute must that you find money, you find revenue outside of that workflow. This is a great way to do it. You're already on the platform, or at least I hope you are. The amount of revenue that Outcomes has been able to find our pharmacies that use our Outcomes and Outcomes Premium platform is tens of thousands of dollars a year, and it's work that sometimes even your technician can help you do. For the clinical trials, we're keeping this in just the pharmacist scope, but being on this platform allows you to just branch away to really expand your business model outside of that just pure dispensing workflow. And the pharmacists of today absolutely have that knowledge. I mean, the clinical expertise that they have just makes them so perfect for this. The relationship that you have. We see our patients 9 times more often than a care provider does. We know all of their medications. I might have to go to 2 or 3 or 4 different doctors, and they're really going to have a difficult time understanding all the medications I'm on. So the pharmacist just sits in such a prime spot for doing this type of work. There are some large chains that are doing this already, and we want to make sure this opportunity is out there, for all of our pharmacies. We are starting this as a pilot, so we don't have every pharmacy on the Outcomes platform receiving these opportunities just yet while we test it out. But very soon we will be launching it to every pharmacy. It is, it's also location based. We look for trial locations that are about 30 to 50 miles maximum from a pharmacy, so that your patient is not driving all over, heck and high water to try to get somewhere. I just love it. I actually was in a little bit of a clinical trial test probably over a decade ago in my former pharmacy role, and it's just been super exciting to be brought back and really see that this is a growing field for pharmacies.
You've seen it come full circle. Not only that, but Outcomes actually has multiple 24 different patients that have gone through the process already. So it's not like it might be a pilot, but you guys are deep in it already.
We are deep in it, and it was really exciting. That's the other thing, finding appropriate patients is very difficult. What is kind of the trial failure rate, where the patient just does not qualify, is actually pretty high. That's why we need to get this out in front of a large number of patients and pharmacies. But this week alone, again, we just launched it this week, we've already have several patients make it all the way through the process and pre-qualify, and we're in the process of passing them along to the trial sponsor, and they jumped up and down and immediately went, let's get more opportunities on the platform. Let's really get this one trial going. We're looking for patients with atrial fibrillation to test out a new medication. And by the way, it's various stages of the trials as well. So we're doing some, mostly phase 2, 3, and 4, where the medication has already been pre-tested and determined to be safe. Like the stage 4 trials, the drug is already on the market, and now they're trying to compare it to other available treatments to see which one is superior. So, for all the patient's going to get something that's already sitting on your shelf. And we're just doing comparator studies. So lots of different unique things that we're doing. Again, I find it so exciting.
It is exciting. And listen to this. Pharmacy owners listening right now, this is a marketing opportunity for your pharmacy to stand out in your community, in your region, in your state, because there are connections to how are we bringing more information and more transparency to the communities that you're in. The communities already trust you. You're the most trusted healthcare provider that your communities have, the local community independent pharmacy who is advancing healthcare by becoming involved in clinical trials. And then you turn around and you use this marketing opportunity and not only take out a little press release or a story in your local paper, and of course on your Facebook and your social media,
but reach out to your local congresspeople, congressmen, congresswomen, and have them understand the full circle of the importance of keeping our independent community pharmacies alive and
Right.
thriving, especially in places where we have pharmacy deserts. So this is big full circle stuff.
This is big full circle stuff. And, you can help promote yourself to your specialists or even your primary care doctors in the area that you're really advancing patient care and you are trying to find each of your patients the best possible treatment. We all know that everything out there doesn't work for everybody. And you know better than anyone else which patients are struggling and really are still searching, desperately searching for a treatment that will help. And I think letting your providers in the area know that you're just next level. Like you're not just sitting back and trying to just, put pills in a bottle, which everybody thinks that's all we can do.
Yeah.
We are so much more than that. I actually wrote a blog post once about pharmacists hiding in plain sight.
Yes, I remember. Good blog.
We're hiding in so many different places, lawyers' offices, research institutes, PBMs, tech companies,
specialty pharmacy, like
exactly.
everything.
We're everywhere. People
Sports pharmacy. There's so many sports pharmacies coming out.
That is so exciting to follow the sports pharmacy stuff. That is so important because an athlete can get kicked out of going to the Olympics.
Exactly.
But I just really love the opportunities that Outcomes has presented me in just a very short time. Again, I've only been here 2.5 years and I've already done some really, really cool, exciting stuff. And I think this is really the coolest. Like when we talk about it internally, the eyes just get so excited. And this is backed. I have a whole clinical team backing me as we build these opportunities out on the platform. So these are very well vetted clinical trials, the questions that are going to be in the opportunity itself. So as clinicians, we 110% believe in this.
Well, we are lucky to have had this opportunity to interview you again, Heidi Polek, on the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Outcomes is just as lucky to have you as part of this team and the bigger team of where is pharmacy care going? Clinical trials is part of it. We're here at ThoughtSpot 2025 at the Outcomes booth, and we'll be right back.
Fellow Pittsburgher, multi-location pharmacy owner, and Pharmacy 50 award winner Dr. Chris Antipas joins the pod for a discussion on innovation in the business of pharmacy.
Guess what? ThoughtSpot 2025 Pittsburgh is in the house. Chris Antipas, my guy from Pittsburgh. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So great
Vegas.
to see you. I mean, the black and gold in Vegas from Pittsburgh.
Heck yeah. I just don't know what's going to happen to us in 2025 or 2026 season. We can talk about that on another podcast.
You got it.
But this is a special time. It's nice to see you here at ThoughtSpot 2025. Just in case people don't know you, talk to us. Who is Dr. Chris Antipas?
Yeah, so Pharmacist, pharmacy owner from Pittsburgh. I have a few pharmacies in my ownership realm. Asti's Pharmacy, my retail pharmacy. I have Colt RX, which is my long-term care and compounding pharmacy. And Paragon Pharmacy 360, which is a specialty pharmacy, dual accredited, nationally licensed, and just doing my best effort to stay relevant in this challenging pharmacy world.
Heidi, how'd you meet Chris? Because you guys have known each other for a while now.
We've known each other since 2017. I was working at a different tech company than Outcomes, and Chris was one of our clients. And I was in the Buffalo, New York area at the time, so got in a car, drove down to go meet his pharmacy staff, and was just absolutely blown away by the patient care that they are doing in the Pittsburgh area. If I lived in Pittsburgh, that would be my pharmacy.
She's too kind.
But let's talk about the evolution. Heidi and I were on before talking about the role of our pharmacists, and we were talking about clinical trials. But now let's shift some gears and talk about specialty, because I can't think of a better person to dial into what a community pharmacy has done to transform into truly a specialty pharmacy, and then how to take measurements. We're talking about data. How are we finding out what we're doing is actually working because of those complexities within those disease states?
Yeah, specialty, our specialty operation grew out of our community pharmacy, where we were just solving problems like so many pharmacies do. You got people
Right.
coming in, they have needs, and we stepped up to the plate. And we initially were intimidated by the price tags on these drugs, because the more expensive the medication, the more risk there is in dispensing it. You can make a mistake, you can have an audit, all kinds of issues. But we doubled down. We got knowledgeable. That was step one, is understanding what is specialty and what is the potential opportunity for us. This is going back to 2013, 2014. But eventually decided to, take it into its own pharmacy, built out that pharmacy, got the licensure, got the accreditation. And just like any, pharmacy practice setting, it's evolving, and you have to adapt to ensure that you remain relevant and keep that business alive and keep it going. And so we've identified this opportunity to take advantage of our patient relationships, to engage with our patients and extract information from them that otherwise is unknown, combining that with other data sources to take what we call it, taking accountability to the efficacy, or taking accountability for the efficacy of the medications we dispense. And that means making sure that the drugs are actually working. And how do we know if the drugs are working? Well, we have to talk to our patients, and we have to use other available data sources, and they are many that we are tapping into, like wearables or peripherals that you can gather blood pressure information, or a smartwatch that is giving you other, information all day, every day, or a smart ring. And then we also have other sources of information like medical and pharmacy claims data, or EHR data. And when you compile all that data and you organize it in the age of AI, that we can have assistance compiling and organizing this data, we can get some really impactful insights that we can then, as pharmacists, act on to the benefit of our patient. And there's a market out there for that.
Health plans are going to eat that up, and now they don't have to rely on just our physicians to pull off what's necessary. They're the quarterback. They're passing the treatment off to the pharmacist. The pharmacist is running for it. Heidi, your division within Outcomes is doing exactly what Chris is talking about. Share with us about how this is pulling in and helping to expand specialty pharmacies.
Yeah, I was asked to lead our specialty division December of last year. And since then, just the number of pharmacies that have come to us looking to start specialty pharmacy has just been really, really encouraging. For a while there, I thought pharmacists just seemed super content with putting pills in a bottle. That's how I started out in pharmacy. You cannot survive without expanding into additional business models. Chris is the perfect example of that. You heard him say it all started in his retail pharmacy, and now he has long-term care and specialty. So I'm very encouraged that our Outcomes users, our PMS users they're branching out into specialty pharmacy, and we're helping them do that from the ground up. They haven't been doing it. They don't know how to do it. We have software that can help them do it. And I'm just really encouraged to see the growth in this division.
What's the challenges, Chris, that you've run into in making this kind of transition from that community to a truly standalone specialty pharmacy, but being able to take advantage of the customer connection from both of those spaces?
Yeah, I mean, the challenges are many, because there are a lot of forces out there that don't want pharmacies to succeed, and that's not just specialty pharmacy. We all know the payer PBM challenges that we face. Those exist, and they're amplified in the specialty pharmacy space. The challenges of just getting licensure and getting accreditations, and the financial challenges and the investment that's necessary there, to just the man hours that are necessary to go and get all of those applications done. So it's in part, you have to build an infrastructure. That infrastructure includes your licensure, your certifications, your accreditations. It also includes your technology, because it's a very competitive space. And so you need to be able to differentiate, and we differentiate primarily by not our software, but by our service. And in order for you to execute on that, you have to have software that helps you do that. It
Right.
enables you. The software is a means to the end. And so you have to configure that. You have to have the right partner. And so that has been a journey for us to figure out, like, how do we best position ourselves? And then we do what we do best, which is build relationships, not just with our patients, but with providers, with payers, with manufacturers. And a lot of folks probably listen to this and say, oh, well, that's like so hard. How do you do that? But we know how to build relationships. You got to be in the right place at the right time to do that. But, it means going to new trade shows or places that you weren't going to, previously. And, unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight. But over time, you begin, if you can kind of have the grit and the resilience to survive long enough, some of these things start to fall in place, because there's definitely not enough high quality providers out there to meet the demand. It's just, can you survive long enough to get to the point of relevance where you're considered for that? And that's kind of been our journey. And we're at a place now where we're finding some success, and it's exciting. We still many challenges, but we're really thrilled with where we are and excited about the partnerships that we continue to build.
Well, I'd like to thank you for spending time with us here at ThoughtSpot. Heidi, thanks for wrangling him into the booth and talking with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks to you both, and for all the work you're doing in amplifying our voice, and Heidi for being a pioneer in innovation. So thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you. ThoughtSpot 2025. We'll be right back.
Fellow podcaster and product manager at Outcomes, Dalia Rios talks shop on why it's important to keep going with more training and education on new systems and processes in pharmacy.
Hey, we are here at the Outcomes booth, and I'm with Dalia Rios, and you're a fellow podcaster. What's that like?
Different, very different. It's one thing is talking to clients, where you are actually interacting with the clients, talking back and forth, getting feedback, asking questions, and giving them the answers that they're looking for. But it's totally different having to look into the camera and trying to figure out what's what really.
Yes, exactly. So I've been doing this for 16 years, and I still get weirded out by having to look at a camera where I know that's my audience, but it's like, it's better when I'm in front of someone.
Yes.
And I think it feels more natural. And you're a teacher at heart. That's like when I've listened to you throughout this entire conference, people completely surround your area because they're looking for the knowledge that you have based on the system, breaking it down into components so it's easier to understand. That's what RX30 Unlocked is. RX30 Unlocked is a podcast by Outcomes that's going to break things down and make things much simpler to understand, because you're taking components and you're making it a little bit more understandable in structural information. Talk to me about some of the feedback that you've been getting from clients that listen to the content.
Oh, I mean, the feedback is invaluable. They're just loving it. The fact that, of course, the staffing is a revolving door, right? They're always getting new techs and pharmacists, and so to start from scratch, having to train them, it's just time consuming. But just to be able to give them a link and say, here, learn it on your own, and it's step by step. We also have a client certification program that they can download or view the trainings, and it's invaluable, the feedback that I get.
Dalia, how did you start in pharmacy technology? What industry were you in before you got into pharmacy?
Believe it or not, I was in the IT. I have an IT background, and I actually started 17 and a half years ago at Outcomes. It was previously TDS. And I was hired for my Linux skills, my IT skills, and I was in support for a few years. And then I went into implementation, did the onboarding for about 8 years, and I absolutely loved it. I met so many wonderful people. I was able to train the staff, and just from different levels, right? You've got folks that are not technical savvy, they're not tech savvy, and then you've got the really IT technical folks that I can speak on each level. And so, yeah, it was very exciting.
What's it like to engage with clients at the national conferences here at ThoughtSpot 2025?
Yeah, I love it because, like I said, in the last 17 and a half years, I've spoken to many of them over the phone. And to be able to, come to the shows for the last couple of years, to be able to meet them and them looking for me, I mean, it brings me great pleasure to know that, hey, they're using some of the skills that I've already taught them and they're wanting to learn more.
Well, it's fun to be listening, and I'll hear one of the other Outcomes team members say, yep, Dalia's busy, but she'll be right back. And they're always like coming around looking for you because they want that information about something specific probably in the system.
Yes.
This is great. Well, we appreciate you being part of the post show here at ThoughtSpot 2025, and hopefully we collaborate with you in the future as a fellow podcaster.
Yes, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yes, take care.
Nicknamed the godfather of long-term care pharmacy, Paul Shelton joins us to share a plan to increase revenues from services you're probably already providing to your community.
I tell you what, I show up at these conferences. I was in Tennessee, Nashville. I had a team covering Denver conference, and now we're here in Vegas, and I run into you again. Introduce yourself to the listeners.
Absolutely.
They might not know you, but everybody, if you got to know this guy.
All right. Thanks, Todd. My name's Paul Shelton. I'm the president of Pharma Complete Consulting Services and the CEO and executive vice president of strategy for the Long-Term Care at Home Pharmacy Network. And really happy to be here. Good to see you again. I think it's like the 5th time I've seen you in the last 2 months.
I know.
It was great.
But it's fun because what I'm excited about is that there is a pathway to saving a lot of our independent community pharmacies by shifting a couple gears, putting
absolutely.
things in motion, getting the right tech systems and technology platforms. We're here at Outcomes all about technology and system platforms, but let's go back to the original the term, and that is long-term care pharmacy at home.
Absolutely.
And serving people that don't want to be in a nursing home or can't be in a nursing home. They want to age in their home, but we want to get paid for those services. So give the listeners just a little breakdown of long-term care pharmacy at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So it starts with patients. I mean, the patients that we're serving are baby boomers. They've broken every market they've ever entered, whether it was housing, college, car ownership. They've broken everything. So now they've broken healthcare. They don't want to go into the facilities that we have set up for long-term care. They want to stay in their own home. They've got the ability to do that. And we found that the treatment is actually cheaper and more effective if they're in a familiar environment. And so what we found is if pharmacy can provide long-term care levels of service, so equivalent to a skilled nursing level of engagement, provide compliance packaging, monthly medication reconciliation, coordination of services, coordination of benefits, transitions of care. If they can do all of that, these patients are able to stay at home healthy and happy longer, have longer lifespans, and much lower cost of care.
I love it. And you've teamed up with RxSafe. I've teamed up with RxSafe because they're a big piece of this puzzle. Talk to us about being here at ThoughtSpot 2025 and teaming up with RxSafe.
Absolutely. It's been incredible. We've had a lot of fun talking to people in the booth, coming by saying, hey, I'm doing 50, 75, 100 patients. Really talking to them about, okay, that's awesome. When are you going to have to hire another technician? When are you going to have to bring in that person? They're like now, I have to do that today. And so, well, instead of doing that, why don't we look at hiring a piece of automation or a piece of technology that makes sense? And we've really seen people be able to really embrace that in a way that's interesting and saying, okay, well, what's the deal? If I've got 100 patients on blister cards, what does that mean? I've got 100 patients on a disc pill system or something from Pharmacy Automation Supplies. If I convert that over to the Rapid Card RX or the Rapid Pack RX, I'm going to save about 25 hours in technician time on those 100 patients. Mm-hmm. Additionally, I'm going to save about 700 minutes of pharmacist time on those same 100 patients, which is huge. That frees your pharmacist up to do more clinical engagement, to go find more patients that qualify. And that technician now has 25 more hours a month to go out and grow the business. That person can become your marketer. That person can become someone who's converting patients into the program.
I love it. I love it. So it's conference season. You've been all over the place. I've been all over the place.
Yep.
What's the next city that you're going to show up in for the next conference?
Oh, for the next conference. I think the next conference we're going to be at is going to be NCPA. It's going to be down in New Orleans this year.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that one. New Orleans is always a fantastic conference. And then after that, it's going to be Jerry Med for Marco Island down in Florida. I think I've got that scheduled correctly. and then possibly getting out to Las Vegas for the SPS show a little bit before that, just to check out what those guys are doing in the actual closed door long-term care space.
What's your favorite place to go for conferences? Because I don't like Vegas. I don't care for Vegas. But I mean, once I get here, being in this trade show hall and being with
amazing.
ThoughtSpot people, I love it. But it's the Vegas part that I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'd rather. So if you're like, if I answer that question, I'm going to say probably Southern Florida. Like I love going to Fort Lauderdale. I love Marco Island.
Absolutely.
Even Orlando, even though it's a little stuffy because it's in the base of Florida. But what's your favorite place?
So if it's a summer show, so winter shows, I agree completely. If it's like October through basically March, Southern Florida is by far my favorite. Love Orlando. My family loves to come with me because they have a Disney addiction, if you will. But in Southern Florida, it's fantastic. It get you away from the cold. During the summer, I haven't figured out why people haven't heard of places like Minneapolis, St. Paul. They've got a phenomenal conference center.
Okay.
There was actually a Brewers conference up there a few years ago that we went to. It's absolutely brilliant. Cool weather, very nice, lovely people. Another great one we went to is a few years ago, Cardinals RBC show, which was in Boston. I was
Boston.
shocked by how great Boston was as a host city.
True.
And so during the summer, I'd love for them maybe to explore like places like Denver. Denver's a great spot. We should do that more often. So yeah.
Why can't they have a pharmacy conference in Pittsburgh, for goodness sakes? We have a huge trade show area.
Conference in Pittsburgh. I'm doing one in Seattle. I think we had one in Seattle a few years ago, which was amazing. I mean, just again, during the summer, getting us maybe out of the hot, sweltering, humid part of the United States, maybe just explore other options.
Paul Shelton here at ThoughtSpot 2025. Thanks for spending time with me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Todd.
We wrap up the ThoughtSpot podcast press coverage with Tim Cernohous, Senior Vice President of Community Retail and Long-Term Care Pharmacy at Cencora.
ThoughtSpot 2025. What an amazing gathering of our independent community pharmacists and pharmacy owners. I'm here with the Senior Vice President of Community Retail and Long-Term Care Pharmacy at Cencora, Tim Cernohous. It is so good to have you here, Tim. Welcome.
Thanks, Todd, and great to be here with you and to chat a little bit about ThoughtSpot 2025.
Tim, this was an electric event. When I walked into the hall, it was enormous. It was packed. There was a lot of excitement. And I've been attending pharmacy conferences. It makes me feel old for over 20 years. And I've seen where the mood wasn't as exciting. It was maybe, a little bit more of being worried about what was happening. And this wasn't that. This was a bunch of business owners coming together, trying to find new solutions and new services and ways to serve their community and be profitable while doing it. And Cencora, you guys were at the center of it all. So give us an overview of ThoughtSpot 2025.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. And thank you again for being there. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to be able to comment here on your show. Really appreciate that opportunity. So I would agree with your reflection on ThoughtSpot 2025, just as, the show overall, as we went through everything, phenomenal attendance this year. We just saw a huge response. Our overall attendance was up this year. And it was, we've really hit the point where we're pre-pandemic levels now again. And so to your point, on the ThoughtSpot trade floor, it was customers were energized and they were out there looking for opportunities to really help improve their practice. And we saw we saw chains that were there. We saw health systems that were there, community-based providers and long-term care providers. And as you know, more and more, many providers are kind of also crossing over from one segment to the other and really searching out a lot of technology components was one of the big things that I certainly saw. How do we make workflow more efficient? How do we connect with our customers and stay engaged with them? How do we make sure that they come back in for either refills, clinical encounters? That was a really big part that I saw and I heard from a lot of both the vendors as well as the pharmacy participants. The other piece that I would say over and beyond, probably two other parts that I would just highlight a lot of excitement around is clinical. A lot of pharmacies trying to figure out how do we take disparate clinical programs that they really are committed to doing. And for myself as a pharmacist and a prior clinician, it's hard. You have these opportunities. We're trained as pharmacists to go and provide that direct patient care, but it's hard to figure out, how do I connect with a patient maybe asynchronously? And so how do I identify them within the course of my workflow? How do I identify them when they're coming in to pick up their prescription? How do I do it in an offline mode in a way that's efficient? And so I saw a lot of engagement around pharmacy providers, so pharmacy management systems. So I should clarify that, pharmacy software providers that were really trying to help do patient identification, documentation, and then ultimately secure that reimbursement. So there was a lot of really good work happening around that front, which we really support. I think that's one of the biggest opportunities for pharmacy and pharmacists, is to continue to lean into that, to use that training, to use our differential knowledge around pharmaceuticals to be able to provide that direct patient care, intervene, and improve patient outcomes. So something that we're just totally committed to, and we want to see it also be simplified. There's just a lot of different channels, if you will, out there. And so we want to try to bring that together. So it's simple, although it's not necessarily real simple for everybody right now. So I saw a lot of engagement around that and figuring out, how do you do that? The last piece that I would say saw a lot of excitement around is, as you maybe saw, really a broad diversity of vendor suppliers in terms of their products that they're trying to bring to market. As patients kind of think about, where do they choose to get their pharmacy services? Are they going to a chain? Are they going to a mass merchant? Are they going to a grocer or an independent? Obviously, we believe strongly in the voice of the independents, in making sure that those independents have the right product mix for customers to bring them into store as well. And so we're really excited. There was a number, and I don't want to call anybody out because I'll leave somebody out, but there were a lot of great vendors that were bringing new products to the show. Marketplace is a Cencora tool that was prominently featured there. We're really trying to make it as simple as we can for pharmacies to be able to access a massive array. So within Marketplace, there's over 60,000 products that are now on Marketplace that pharmacies don't have to deal with, hundreds of different vendors in order to be able to procure that product. They can go through the portal, they can go into the market that they need, that's right for them. And so saw a lot of energy around that, both on the vendor side and vendors that were participating and are participating in Marketplace, as well as customers that had kind of seen Marketplace maybe a couple of years ago, had maybe not given it too much look, and then now are coming back and really figuring out, man, this is a way that I can bolster sales within my front end. It's seamless, really efficient for my team, whoever that might be, that's helping on the front end, to be able to access these products and try different things. For my community and their situation, that might otherwise have been difficult for them to be able to find. So those are just a few things that I saw kind of the energy on the ThoughtSpot floor. So pause there and just reflect on any reflections that you might have on the event as well that you saw out on the floor.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out to my friend. Thomas McDowell was chosen as the 2025 Clinical Care Champion. You mentioned clinical, and Thomas has been committed to clinical for years. He's a fourth generation pharmacy owner. He's a champion. I've worked with him on other podcast presentations. So I was really excited to see that he was recognized for his leadership as the future of pharmacy. This is the future of pharmacy. We're going to be moving into a different dynamic with a lot of treatment, follow-up, and chronic disease state management, and technology being involved. But it gets you excited to see pharmacies thriving the way that Thomas is, and for fourth generation, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it was great to be able to recognize him, to highlight the great work that they're doing. That's really pretty young too, right? They haven't been doing it that many years. It's not like they've been out there for 10 years. To have his dad in the audience too, as we celebrated his work, and I know that there was a lot of traction that other customers had that went up and talked to him to see how do I do this? How do I get started? Because it can be intimidating. And so I think he really can make it much more or less threatening than what it needs to be. But he is definitely a champion for us.
Absolutely. Over 4,000 community pharmacy owners, so many of the vendors plugged in. Like I said, there was a buzz there. So give our listeners a little taste of where we're going in 2026. ThoughtSpot 2026. What's up next?
Yeah, so ThoughtSpot 2026, we will be going to Orlando. So we're excited to continue to build on the show. So one of the things, that I mentioned, Todd, just a few minutes ago is that I was a clinician. I was in practice just 4 short years ago. And so it's always kind of top of mind for me that when I'm being asked to be pulled away, or when I was in practice, to say, hey, can you come in and participate in this conference, this event? That's really hard to do. And especially for the independent owners where maybe there's not somebody to step in behind them. That might be having, a relief pharmacist come in and the cost that's associated with that. And so we're really cognizant of that. And we're always trying to improve the show. We're trying to make it the best use of their time that we can possibly do that. So what does that look like for us in 2026? That looks like continued expansion of our expo itself. Bringing in more diversity. So we really want to continue to broaden the array of vendors and also activities and experiences that pharmacies can have. So that's going to be more hands-on. So what we want to be able to have pharmacies and pharmacists and pharmacy technicians be able to do is when they leave the event, to be able to have actionable information, to have tried, manipulated, maybe interacted with even a virtual type of visit that then they can take back into their practice literally the next week. So we're going to continue to see more CE sessions that are focused on the hottest topics of the day. What are the things that I need to take and walk away from this meeting, this conference, this CE, and then be able to put into practice next week? What are the vendors that I can connect with? Maybe what are the vendors that are already integrated with some of my different stakeholders that I might be involved with, whether those be pharmacy management systems, buying groups, or the like. But we're really that actionability, that's going to be one of our key things next year, is how do we help make sure that everything we're doing aligns at advancing the practice, moving the pharmacy practice forward. And that can be clinical, operational, retail, and focused. Advocacy is always top of mind for us. And so there's going to continue to be advocacy efforts. We're really hoping to get PBM reform done this year. Even if we get that done, there's going to be new challenges next year. We're going to have IRA. And so the focus for us is continue to broaden the tent, bring in more providers, be able to interact with more pharmacies, more peer-to-peer learning that really they can take back, they can deploy into their practices to ultimately be more successful themselves.
Tim, this has been a great time for Pharmacy Podcast Networks. The first time that we got to attend ThoughtSpot, it was one of the best conferences I've been at. They're really, like I said, lots of energy. I want to thank the Outcomes team for helping us to get there. I wanted to give a shout out to the Cencora communications team for being so open and inviting us to cover the show. And we can't wait to be back in Orlando in 2026. Tim, thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate the time. And just thank you to Outcomes as well. They're a great partner of us. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to interact with you and your guests today.